EMSradio.com.
EMS information for the next generation.
The EMS Garage is a production of EMSradio.com. You can find us on Facebook, just search EMS Garage. You can find us on Twitter at EMS Garage. Email us, emsgarage@gmail.com, or call us, 303-720-6001.
The EMS Garage.
Checking out right now. Okay, I got DG on the phone there. Want to know if you can handle that call as well. Just confirming you are checking the patient. Sale 922 is on scene. Here's buddy.
Hello everybody and welcome to the EMS Garage / EMS World Podcast mashup here at EMS World Expo 2018 in lovely Nashville. I love Nashville, by the way. I never knew it was a honky tonk. That's kind of cool. Anyway, I'm joined by the fabulous Ray Barishanski, who has better hair than me.
I wouldn't go that far.
I think I have great hair. Well, we don't have Chris Call here, so we can't compare right
exactly.
now. Right.
He really sets the bar.
He does. He really does. I mean, you and I can just only live to be like Chris Call. So, Ray, you're doing a really cool talk here, talking about the stepping outside of your EMS career, things your EMS career could lead you to, things like that. So, what are some of the cool jobs that you think we could be doing?
Well, I think that there's an entire lexicon of options out there for EMS providers. We live in a time where educational initiatives are, I wouldn't say easy, but easier to achieve than ever before through distance learning, online learning, etc. And so whether it's moving into, say, public health or public health preparedness or emergency management, there are a lot of careers out there that people have moved to. And when I asked this question a number of years ago on Facebook and said, what would you do if you could never be on the truck again? I got an amazing array of answers. And they did include emergency management, they included public health. We had a trauma program manager from Arizona who answered, and things like that.
Really?
And I think people need to look at that and say to themselves, my career choices don't have to be limited to the truck.
Right.
And whether that truck is a ambulance, a paramedic truck, or even a supervisor's truck, it doesn't have to be limited to that. There are a lot of options out there for motivated, educated EMS providers.
Well, and I think that's the other part of it, is they have to be educated. I mean, you can't just rely on your paramedic-ness to get you by. So,
Can I jump in on that for 1 second?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So there's David Pfeiffer. I think he's in Kentucky.
Okay.
And he had a great post on Facebook just a couple of months ago, and it said there are 3 amazing jobs out there that are open right now. And one was with NEDARC, and one was with NEMSIS, and the other one was with NHTSA. And he wrote all of the jobs and who they were with. And he goes, by the way, as an FYI to all you providers out there, bachelor's required, master's preferred. And he used it as an incredible teaching moment, Chris. It was like a get out there and get educated, because if you get educated, you can at least put in for these.
Right.
There are a ton of options out there, and I thought it was a real teaching moment.
Well, or you could be, where I was going to go with that too, or you could become a state EMS director, just saying.
You know, one of the options actually is a regulatory path.
Right.
So whether we're talking about states with regional EMS councils, regional EMS governing authorities, or state EMS directors, I think it's a great way. And to be frank with you, my position right now is a Deputy Secretary of Health in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. 10 years ago, I made a decision to leave the regional EMS council I was affiliated with and go to Prince George's County to be their Chief of Public Health Preparedness. And that was an incredibly unusual move for a person who was writing in EMS publications, speaking at EMS conferences, and it was let me see if there are opportunities out there. Let me see if there's a move out there for muscles I don't typically use. And I went and I did it. And here we are 10 years later, and I'm a Deputy Secretary rounding the bend into 3 years with 5 bureaus under me. And I think to myself, if I hadn't made that move out of a traditional EMS role, even though it was a regional EMS council, out of a traditional EMS role into public health preparedness, would I have the job I'm in right now?
Right. Well, you and I share that similar public health thing. And when I started it, I had no clue what the heck I was doing. I'm like, oh, seems like a cool job. I'm gonna do some preparedness stuff, and back when everything was gonna kill us, anthrax, whatever.
Sure.
Recently, I found a box in my office that had like SNS preparedness on it. So I went through it and I went anthrax and crossed it out, SNS crossed it out, and then Ebola, put that through it. So H1N1, whatever it is, but it's the
Right.
same plan,
The
right?
threat du jour.
change it. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
But so I think that's cool. But did you ever think about populations and population health when you were sitting on a truck?
So I will tell you, my career path was a little bit different. I became a volunteer EMT, and it really motivated me to kind of, for lack of a better term, get it together. So immediately after I became a paid EMT in Newark, New Jersey, it was kind of an interesting moment, and I decided to go back to school to finish the bachelor's that I had been slowly eking out for about 7 years.
Right.
And then I went back, and about 2 years later I had finished that, and right away I went into a Master's in Public Health, or MPH program. So while I was working a truck as my quote-unquote real job,
right.
I was actually taking MPH classes.
That's cool.
So thinking about things like maternal and child health, adult and geriatric health, epidemiology, and population health, believe it or not, I actually was, because I was reading about those things and being tested on those things in the time when I wasn't on the truck.
Did you ever feel like you could apply it almost immediately? Or at least go, well, I know you're dealing with this. Let me connect you. I mean, because I think public health is all about connections too. So, I mean, did you ever think that when you were sitting there?
I saw a lot of the bigger picture strategic vision things through my MPH. I actually will tell you that, honestly, I was wondering how I would make my MPH work for me, and how I would actually, I saw a lot of MPHs, and I was thinking to myself, how do I transition from the truck to what I see those other MPHs doing? And to be frank with you, if you had turned to me 10 years, 15, 20 years ago and said, hey Ray, one day you're going to be the Deputy Secretary of Health, I would have looked at you and said, you need to get your fever checked, because you're cracked. But here we are, and that MPH, I have another graduate degree in Homeland Security Studies, but those degrees, I would say, potentially were one of the major factors with me being able to move up, as well as get the current position.
Well, what do you think about these people that are out there that say, I don't need a degree. I can, degrees are foolish and they're not for people, because, and then we'll talk about me a little bit, but I'd like to hear that story about, because I hear this a lot from providers that don't have their degree. They say, oh, I don't need it. I'll just, people will just hire me for my talent.
So it's a difficult place to be in EMS. We have a lot of talented EMTs and paramedics. And what I often say to people is, if you want to stay on the truck, don't even worry about the degree. And I realize that's a debate in and of itself, Chris.
Correct.
But if you want to stay on the truck, why would you be that concerned with it? But if you wanted to move into supervision, you wanted to understand the financial machinations of an EMS system, you want to understand human resources, you want to interact better with public health, emergency management, etc. There are degrees out there that are structured specifically around those things. And I will tell you, as a person who has hired many executive level personnel, I often look at degrees, and it is definitely factored in. Is it the only factor? No. Is it one of the many factors? Yes. If you can speak eloquently, if you show me that you've set a goal, and that goal was an educational degree, and you went and attained that goal, there's something said there, and I pay close attention to that.
Right. Well, and I think, and I feel like I've hit that wall in my career where Ann and I just started our master's program in health leadership. But the only way I want to do that is because I want to be a hospital administrator. I think that's the weirdest thing. But before I retire, I want to go do it, and I want to be in a rural area. I keep telling her I want to go to Kansas. She doesn't want to go. But I think when we look at those, I have a career goal. That is my goal. Will I ever attain it? I don't know. I don't know the first thing about running a hospital, but I know people, and I know we can do it, and you can hire talented people around you, right? So I appreciate that. What other jobs do you see really nicely fit in our space? So let's say you're a fire paramedic and you want to go, what do you see as another nice fit for people that are in that space?
So it's kind of interesting. I think public health preparedness coordinators A lot of municipalities have them, a lot of counties have them, states have them as well. That's a great fit. I think there are a lot of state EMS offices that also have openings, whether they're in a central location, such as in New York. They have a central office in Albany, but they also have regional offices, and they need regional EMS representatives. That's a great fit. Regional EMS councils, they're always looking for people. I realize that some of these things are administrative or more administrative in nature, but as EMS providers will learn, sometimes we're really strong on those planning skills. We're really strong on understanding what actually makes up an EMS system. That's what's needed.
Right. Well, to your point too, I think a lot of that deals with policy work and things that can put a lot of people to sleep. But I've seen some of the best.
Well done.
Well, sorry, it's true. I'm bureaucratic. Anyway, but some of those things put people to sleep. But some of the best ideas and some of the best weird workarounds come from EMS providers, because they're like, well, because you have to think on your feet and you have to always be looking at the other perspective.
We have a ton of type A personalities in EMS.
Oh, yeah.
And even though you and I are both rolling our eyes at the moment,
it's
those are
true,
also
it's
the
true.
people who are problem solvers.
Right.
And they are. And so I always look at my EMS people and I'm like, what would we do if we were on the truck?
Right.
And as strange as it sounds, even as a deputy, I look at myself as an EMS guy. And I always think to myself, what would I have done here? And how is someone else doing something like what we're doing? Do I have to reinvent the wheel? If I don't, what are we going to do? And if I do, how is the best way to do it? You're totally correct. EMS providers are great at those sort of things. And even hospital work,
Yes.
there are tons of administrative positions in hospitals where they would look at people with some level of clinical skills and say, I want to plug that person in.
Right.
And it's up to our people to kind of say, wait a minute, I don't need to be constrained by the walls of EMS, for lack of a better term, or even the walls of my truck, but rather what's out there and what would get me to there. To be blunt, there are times I beat myself up for going for a second master's instead of going for a doctorate. But I think that to myself, like, I wonder if, but you can't think like that.
Right.
What you have to do is you have to make that plan, and you have to stick to that plan. But
you're still young. You could still go. Get your hood, man. Dr.
but-
Barishanski. That has a cool ring to
But
it.
even, stick. You develop your plan and you stick to it. But even then, be willing to be flexible. 8 years at a regional EMS council, 7 years at a regional EMS council, and I see this public health preparedness job open, and I think to myself, wait a minute, I have my master's in public health. I should know how to do that stuff. And then I go and I interview and I get the offer. And people were like, but it's not EMS. You're right. It's not traditional EMS.
Right.
But you know what? The next job after that was the Connecticut State EMS Director, and after that, Deputy Secretary of Health for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So it's not always linear.
Right.
And it may not even make sense. But when we look at our careers, sometimes you got to stretch a little.
Well, and I think the other thing that you're pointing out is do something you love. Because I honestly don't ever feel like I go to work. There are days I don't like going to work, but that's just because I want to be on vacation. I love my job, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. And if you do that and you go at it with that mind, because I think that's often cliche. Oh, I'm going to do something you love. It is truly the best thing you can do. And if you have the education behind it, it's even easier.
I could not agree with you more. Oftentimes I've turned to my support staff and I've said, I love my job. I love my job. There are days when I don't love everything, but I love my job. It's always a challenge. It's always cool, and I get to do great things.
Right.
And I really feel like I'm impacting policy and the population's health. And at the end of the day, yeah, I may be tired at the end of the day, but I'm tired for the good reasons, not the bad.
Right. So the most important question of the entire show.
Go ahead.
What kind of socks you wearing today?
Mine are
Man,
pretty...
Look at your socks.
Yeah.
These are great.
Oh,
you got the nice polka dot.
Not
Look at that.
shabby
I know,
at all.
I'm showing the Battenberg.
I am really impressed.
That was great. Ray, where can people email you and find out more information about you?
So probably the best way to get a hold of me is my Gmail account. So it's R Barishanski, common spelling.
I got it. It'll be here.
Right.
Ish.
rbarishansky@gmail.com. And one of the things I actually always say, and this is really important, is our field needs mentors.
Yes.
So if you are interested, if you are out there hearing this and you're interested in that non-traditional path or just learning more or any part of what we just spoke about, email me.
Yes.
I have always emailed people back, even when I don't have a ton of time, even to say, I will get back to you more.
Right.
But we need motivated, educated thinkers out there who are saying, I don't want to be constrained by the boundaries. I want to do something different.
Oh, I love it. Thank you, Ray. I appreciate it. And thank you guys for watching the EMS World podcast and the EMS Garage podcast mashup here at EMS World Expo 2018 from Nashville. Look for more great content right here on this channel.